Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, may I humbly invite the Registrar of the University for his Brigadier General H.Y. Abdulhamid for his welcome address.
The visitors are ably represented by Professor Al-Hassan Ghani from National Universities Commission, Minister of Defense, ably represented by Major General A.T. Jubril, the guest lecturers, sir, Pro-Chancellor, sir, Lieutenant General T.A. Lagbaja, the Chief of Naval Staff, ably represented by Rear Admiral H.U. F. Kaoje, DG Navy Holdings. The immediate first Pro Chancellor, sir, Lieutenant General F. Yahaya, PSOs from Army Headquarters and other services, Co-Commanders, Theater Commander, General Officers Commanding, Commander, Sector 2, Operation Hadinkai, very senior officers, serving and retired, Your Royal Highnesses, Vice Chancellor, Nigerian Army University BU, and other visiting Vice Chancellors, other personalities here present, my dear graduates, ladies and gentlemen. You are most welcome to the maiden convocation lecture, which is the first of its kind in the history of Nigerian Army University BU. It is a tradition in the university system that an academic presentation of a very relevant topic to the immediate and indeed larger environment is discussed with the aim of addressing certain challenges in the society. Now we picked a topic that will address burning issues that relate to security, youth restiveness, and radicalization. The Northeast in particular and Nigeria in general need a lasting solution to the mentioned burning issues that have become serious challenge and menace to the Nigerian society. I urge us to please listen attentively so that we can become better informed and have an authentic knowledge on the carefully selected topic to be delivered by no other person but a well-qualified personality that had a sterling military career with a deep knowledge on the issues of discourse and the son of the soil. Major General Ibrahim Manu Yusuf, retired. It is our prayer that this lecture will serve the purpose expected of it. Thank you, sir, and God bless.
I would like to also announce that in our midst we have His Royal Highness Alhaji Dr. Bashir Al-Bashir Bukar, OON, Emir of Machina, Yobe State. Also with us we have Murtala Mammang, FSI. He is representing the DGSS. Next on the program of events, may I humbly and most respectfully call on the University Vice Chancellor to present the guest lecturer. Thank you.
May I humbly rest on the already well-established protocol by the registrar. It is my good fortune to present today's speaker, a very historic occasion for us, for him, and for the university. Our guest speaker today is none other than retired Major General Ibrahim Manu Yusuf, a veteran of the campaign in the Northeast, having served both as brigade commander, as GOC, and as post commander for the Multinational Joint Task Force. So he is one person who should be very familiar with his chosen topic of DDR, disarmament, demobilization, reconciliation, and reintegration of insurgents in the Northeast. General Yusuf was born in the late 60s, some 2 months or so before the beginning of Nigeria's civil war. So he was born before the war, but fortunately, unfortunately, he did not participate in the campaigns of the Nigerian civil war. He is one of Nigeria's most decorated military generals. In fact, by some accounts, he was the most decorated general as at the point of his retirement. We invited General Yusuf here partly because of his sterling military career, but primarily because of his intellectual prowess and his interests, particularly in the area of DDR. Because at the end of any war, you still have to deal with the demobilization, disarmament, and reintegration of insurgents. General Yusuf is a very well-rounded soldier. He is a very prolific scholar, having written at least 7 publications to his credit, which should sound very creditable in a university. He trained as an historian, bachelor's degree in history, Master of Arts in International Affairs and Diplomacy from the Ahmadu Bello University, another Master of Arts degree in Defense Studies from King's College London. Major General Yusuf equally incidentally delivered the 2022 lecture of the University of Ibadan. We did not know of this in choosing him. His last posting was as commandant of the prestigious Nigerian Defense Academy, where he tremendously helped in the development of several of our courses. He opened the doors of the NDA to this young university. And in fact, several of the professors from NDA are here today with us, either as sabbatical staff or visiting professors in this university. So if there is one individual who has contributed to the academic development of this university, it should be Major General Yusuf. He's been director at the Kofi Annan Institute for Peacekeeping in Accra, Ghana, where he introduced the advanced DDR course of reintegration with funding support from GIZ, the German International Agency for Cooperation. Through the sponsorship of the JICA, that is the Japan International Cooperation, he also developed the curriculum for the basic DDR course for international peace support and training, and served as the lead facilitator for the pilot course. Between 2009 and 2010, he was the chair of the United Nations Integrated DDR Training Program. Prior to his retirement from the Army, earlier this year, of course, General Yusuf was commandant of the NDA, and of course he was noted or reputed to have introduced several curriculum change to the training of our cadets in the NDA. The 69 and 70 regular officers of the NDA are reputed to be the best trained, so far by the academy. General Yusuf has been honored by his country, Order of the Federal Republic, in October 2022. Earlier on, he had been honored by the President of Chad as Knight of the Order of the Chad for his services as Post Commander of the NNJTF. It is my good honor and privilege to call upon Major General Ibrahim Manu Yusuf, retired, to take the floor. General Yusuf, sir.
I didn't think I was going to wear this gown. So in everything I was doing before this lecture, I didn't factor this gown and this cap. So if I'm not able to manage it, please bear with me. I want to thank Professor Carey for that very generous introduction. And it is not common for a whole vice chancellor to introduce a guest speaker. So this is an additional honor on me, which I truly appreciate. The representative of the Honorable Minister of Defense, the Chief of Army Staff, Nigerian Army, former Chief of Army Staff, General Farouk Yahya, representative of the DG, DSS, Vice Chancellors, Your Royal Highnesses, the Vice Chancellor, senior officers, members of the Nigerian Army University community, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin first by saluting the foresight of the former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General T.Y. Buratai, for establishing this university. It took a lot of foresight, a lot of courage. And with what I saw today, I can safely conclude that I've not seen any university that has, within the short period of its establishment, gotten to this level of infrastructural development as well as academic development. I also want to salute those that took over from him, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, and now we have General Lagbaja. Without their support, as soon as he left, this university will have collapsed. And today, the three chiefs are here. General Buratai is here. He will have been here with us, but for other commitments. General Mujakwero has just arrived, so he's with him. General Farouk Yahya is here. And of course, our own General Lagbaja is here with all his principal staff officers. I also want to congratulate the Chief of Army Staff, the Vice Chancellor, and the members of the Nigerian Army University on this maiden convocation lecture and tomorrow maiden convocation. And I thank the Vice Chancellor and the Governing Council for this honor done me to give the maiden convocation lecture. Now, Professor Carey, when he called me, he said, I was free to choose any topic. And with that leeway, there was a serious dilemma because I needed to pick a topic that would resonate with the audience and a topic that would be relevant to Borno State, the Northeast, and Nigeria in general. And this must fall within the thematic area of defense and security. So when I decided on this topic, another problem. The Vice Chancellor is a professor of history, and is a leading authority on the Boko Haram issue, insurgency, counterinsurgency. And then when I realized that the two former chief of army staff will be here, more problem, because it means they could easily pick the flaws in my lecture. However, I was consoled by the fact that this is a convocation lecture and there is no interactive session. Even though in November last year, when I delivered this lecture, not this topic, different topic, convocation lecture, University of Ibadan. After the lecture, the VC, Professor Adeboale, said he was going to break protocol and that the audience could ask questions. But I trust that Chief of Army Staff is here. He wouldn't allow any question. Okay, so now I will just go straight to my lecture. The topic, disarmament, demobilization, reconciliation, and reintegration of disengaged insurgents in northeast Nigeria, the way forward. And I would like to say that, like other countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, conflict has been part of Nigeria's history. Barely 7 years after independence, the Nigerian Civil War broke out. And it ended 1970. And 10 years later, we had the Maitesine crisis, which ended 85. We know that crisis affected Kano State and some parts of Northeast, especially Borno State. And then 2000, we had the Niger Delta conflict, which was essentially an agitation surrounding resource control, resource allocation, and the questions around federalism and other forms of agitations. Now, 2009, amnesty was declared by President Yar'Adua. And that was the beginning of the end of the Niger Delta crisis. Of course, it still exists, but at a minimal level, such that the disruption of the economy was not as it was years back. That same year was when Boko Haram crisis emerged. Now, I wouldn't go into the details of the circumstances, how it emerged, the factors, what led to the death of its leader, the rise of Shekau, and all that. But suffice it to say that 2012-2013 casualties recorded each year was about 2,000, and then 2014, 8,000, 2015, 9,000. That was when the Boko Haram group was tagged the world's deadliest terror group. Now, this is a recent statistics, which is much better than what we had before, directly pulled from UNHCR. Currently, we have over 300 refugees in different countries, neighboring countries. Now, Nigeria's approach to dealing with this conflict had been predominantly kinetic in nature at the beginning. But at some point, it became apparent that kinetic actions alone will not give us the desired outcome. And so, the federal government, through the instrumentality of Defense Headquarters, introduced the Operation Safe Corridor. And since its introduction to date, it has graduated over 2,000 persons. Then we also had Operation Sulhu. It's not much is known about it. It's run by the DSS and is covert in nature. We'll talk about it later. But by mid-2021, we had massive surrender of Boko Haram. And by the last count, which was end of August this year, over 95,000 Boko Haram members, but of course the bulk are persons associated with the Boko Haram group. So the Borno state government had to introduce what is referred to as the Borno model of disarmament, demobilization, de-radicalization, rehabilitation, reconciliation, and reintegration to deal with the situation. Is this program working? Some will argue yes. Some will say yes, but it could be better. Others may say not entirely. But whatever it is, the truth remains that threats, insurgency threats in the Northeast, according to some documented accounts, have reduced by more than 90%. And in a recent report based on a community perception survey conducted in the Lake Chad Basin by the Navanti Group, the finding, this report came out only last month, the finding is that peace has been restored in most parts, despite few incidents of the insurgency, and that the communities generally now prefer our own military